Welcome to the Physician Wealth Med podcast. It's wealth medicine for doctors. If you're a doctor and you have no time, it looks like you found us just in time. This podcast is for all doctors who would like to work on their personal wealth, but do not have traditional hours to do so because they have no time. We're here to jump into topics that will help you address your wealth both inside and outside of your practice so that you can live the life of significance you're dreaming of. You'll hear from your peers, you'll hear from industry professionals, and your host and wealth advisor, me, Kevin Sullivan. This is your time. Now let's get started with today's podcast.
All right, our doctors of our personal injury doctors elite community. Hey, welcome. Today, our presentation, always a special presentation to have this young man with this young professional, we call him. And he is Kevin Sullivan, one of our great sponsors, as always, as he has been floating around with us and all the PI doctors helping them out. And today he's going to give him a little endorsement on what's coming up in the next few months to years in the future about how all the changes are taking place out there in the marketplace and things that you can do for your own financial strategies. Kevin's our man to talk to. So today, a little bit about Kevin. Kevin is the president owner of KD Sullivan Wealth Strategies. He's got a few offices up east, New York, Maine. He's the author of the book, Managing Income in Retirement, and he's got a new project course coming out he's going to probably tell you about. And no doubt he's been with a lot of our community, helping a lot of doctors. And one point, if you're looking to sell your practice, buy your practice, things, he can give you pointers on that, which he has for a lot of doctors. Kevin, thanks always for your time, expertise, your education, and all the things you're doing for our doctors. And actually, I'm just going to turn it over to you for all the good stuff you're going to give us today. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. It's a pleasure again to continue to work with these amazing doctors. I enjoy the interaction that I have with everyone, no matter what state you're in. We work in 17 different states right now with active clients. So if we're not licensed in a state that you're in, no worries. We'll get licensed so we can help you. I think the biggest thing that we enjoy doing the most is the concierge services that we provide for you and the quick response and service. One of the things that's very important to us is to get back to you and answer questions that you have in a super timely manner, because we know your time is valuable, but we want you to use this as a sounding board too. And just thinking about some of the things that Dr. Tony and I talked about before we started recording this, if you're looking for some thoughts about the current market volatility and the guidance around tariffs and things like that, I think it's very important for you, number one, to have a plan. You want to make sure that you have a plan so that you can see where you're going and knowing where you stand. I think that's the biggest thing, is to have a baseline, but just not to get too spooked about it. You know, when it comes down to market volatility, you always need to come back to your why. Why are we doing this in the first place? What's my risk tolerance? Maybe it's time to take another risk tolerance quiz or try to get a current thought process together for that. After you understand your why, then you could take it to the next level to say, okay, I want to not do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And if you could pull some of the emotions out of your decision making and say, I'm doing things on purpose. I'm doing things that are proactive, not reactive. Those are very key things to look for when you're going through these times. And talk to your advisors. If you don't have an advisor, would be a great firm for you. We would love to talk to you. But I think communication is key when you are working with clients, even more so in a down market than it is in an up market, to be visible for your people. And that's what we're trying to do here for you with your questions, to make sure that we're visible for you in the things that you're looking to do. We have a tremendous amount of market volatility resources that can explain things about tariffs, that can explain things about pullbacks. I just think if you're looking at some timely things, what the markets might need now is just a little confidence. Maybe a couple of countries coming in saying, hey, we inked a deal. Here's what it is. Or maybe the Fed lowering interest rates. That could give the markets a nice little surprise or some confidence. Or the tax package that Congress is working on right now to give those those tax cuts and make them permanent, any of which would be very good news for the markets to give a little bit of a confidence. But when the whipsaw action is happening based on a headline, it's very hard to make decisions of your financial future based on a 10-second soundbite from a headline. So you want to be careful about that and have a plan. I would say, what are you doing now to plan for the next time that the markets are volatile? Have a plan. Everybody wants to have a 15% return, a 20% return in the markets. But at times, this is where the portfolio managers that you engage to manage your money get those returns. It's in markets just like this that they're running in when people are running out. When people are scared and saying, I don't want to do that, portfolio managers are saying, man, if we liked Microsoft last week, we ought to love it today. If we like Johnson & Johnson and Coke or whatever the stock is or whatever the category or strategy that they're working in, you better believe that they are doubling down and they're trimming their portfolios and pruning the tree, however you want to look at it, so that 6 months from now, 3 months from now, may not even be 6, you may not even have to fully recover in the market for you to start to see those gains and the work that they're doing right now on your behalf. So let's just pull it out into 6 months. Let's pull it into a year. When you look back on your returns, you'll say, wow, I'm very thankful that I received what I received, but the portfolio manager did it in these kind of markets. And if you can capture that vision and say, this is the kind of lens I'm going to look at the market with, you won't have as much frustration, maybe less Prozac, maybe less anxiety meds on this while we're going through all of this. So I would offer you, if you would like, a second set of eyes, complimentary look at what you're doing. If any of you want to get your portfolio information over to me, we will, as a service to you and this great group of doctors, give you a complimentary look and a second set of eyes of what you're already doing and give you that report back and go over it with you. So I just wanted to throw that out there regarding the markets.
Great stuff. Kevin, what do you think is most of the things doctors are asking you in the last, I would say the last 4 months in this 2025 year? What are basically the things you're working on for them, just to be more maybe specific on what they should be looking for to contact you?
Everybody's got the questions of how long will this last? How deep will it go? How long will it be before this is all over? This kind of thing. But going through it, there are sectors of the market. You might want to check your allocations and make sure you're diversified. I mean, some of the sectors that should do well under a Trump 2.0 is financials, energy, healthcare, and technology. But based on that, you still want to diversify. But those are certain sectors that you can dive deep into. It seems like with the markets going like they have been going, you could pretty much throw a dart at something that's been down 30% and just say, okay, we should be pretty successful no matter what. But I would say check your base, check your core portfolio to make sure you're properly diversified. When we set up a portfolio for clients, it's almost like a baseball field where you cover the infield first. So make sure you've got the bases loaded in all the positions that you need for the infield before you set the outfield. And I hope that makes sense. So get your bases covered. That's the core, to make sure you're properly diversified in the core, and call that your infield, all the necessary pieces. And that could be stocks, bonds, international. It could be growth and value, dividend paying stocks, growth stocks, mid-sized companies, all of those little pieces. And then you set the outfield. And the outfield is out there to give you complementary pieces to complement your core. So in other words, if you wanted to take a little extra exposure into technology or healthcare or financials and put an overweighted concentration, consider those like outfield positions, because those are there to complement the infield. But if all you have is the outfield and no infield, we call that batting practice, right, Tony? I mean, when you think about it, you just throw the ball up and hit it to the outfield. But if you have the infield set properly, that's what I would suggest that you do. And this is what we've been counseling our doctors to do, is to make sure you've got the bases covered first with all of the right components there to set it to your risk tolerance. And speaking of risk tolerance, we have a questionnaire that scores you on 1 to 100. So if you come in at a 65 or a 43 or a 50 or an 89, we will show you what that looks like. We will show you what your specific number looks like. So you don't have to be grouped into a range of people like you at this age bracket, score 50 to 69. They all look like this. We don't want to do that for you. We want to show you what your exact number is so you can feel confident when you look at your infield that your bases are covered for your risk tolerance. And then you can set the outfield with different things that could complement the infield.
Oh man, that's a great point that they can grab onto for sure. And for those of you who came on a little bit later, we're talking live with Kevin Sullivan. He's one of our major sponsors, always the last few years, KD Sullivan Wealth Strategies. Hey, you will see a lot of on the doctors PI community. A lot of is we want to definitely touch back base on the Physicians Wealth podcast. I know you're probably still doing those.
Yes.
Great things. He is always on the LinkedIn too. If you're on the LinkedIn, I always see his podcast going there. And so he's very well versed in getting out there and getting some great information to many, many businesses, and not only that, physicians and doctors. Let's touch on that a little bit while I got you here.
Sure. Yeah, we have some really well-known guests coming on a podcast in about within a week and a half. We're shooting 3 more podcasts. We got them lined up on topics that are so relevant and important to doctors. The main goal of the podcast show is to interview doctors for doctors. So we do the guest model, and a lot of times we'll bring in physicians or doctors that have been through things that you're going through, and we talk about it as it pertains to your wealth. And our goal is to help you build wealth inside and out of your practice that will last for generations. And we talk about that a lot. So look forward to those podcasts. We absolutely enjoy doing those. So send out like a link of the titles of these podcasts that are coming out. We're going to shoot 3 of them in about a week and a half.
Yeah, no doubt. I started those a year or 2 ago, I remembered. Yeah. And actually, he's interviewed some of our PI Doctors Links members, and also he actually interviewed me of how we got started in this whole PI doctors community. I have to replay that a couple times.
And Dr. Mike DeCubelis, he was also on, and Dr. Lori Bench, she was on here. Mike, he's out there like shooting them all the time now. I'm very impressed that he continues his own educational videos that he does too. So it's very nice.
All right, so watch out for those. We'll get his library of those links, and we can throw all of them up there, and you can just click on some of the subject matters that you would be interested in, because they're always really good. They're not real long, they're short.
Yeah, we try to keep them around 30 minutes. Some of them are 33 minutes or so, but yeah, we try to keep it short there. Yeah.
The other thing we always touched on, and I was talking about a lot of the doctors with Kevin, is that you have a practice valuation, and he can help you out with that. You know, your practice is worth so much as an asset, and you need to know probably the number or the figure that you can actually put it on your balance sheet probably as an asset. He'll tell you more about that, but that's just something to think about. You're sitting there with a nice practice, a lot of accounts receivables, and a very good value of your practice, but do you know what it's worth? You could probably use that for expansion loans or things like that, that will help you push you for more growth. So just another great point that we've been talking about through our PI Doctors League community with our doctors. Kevin, you might want to touch a little bit about that if you want.
Sure. Yeah, that's very important to know where you stand. Again, knowing where you stand, not just with your investment portfolios and your financial goals that way, but we get so busy working in the practice that we don't know what the practice is worth, So it's good to have that periodic check-in of what your practice is worth. But most importantly, it comes with key indicators to align you for growth. So you can use these key performance indicators to make changes where necessary to make your practice even more valuable. So when you get to that time of transition, you'll know what you have, but also you'll know how you've been able to grow it. Get a baseline. Here's what it looks like in 2025, but here's what it looks like in 26 based on what we have just done throughout the year of 2025. And it's a great way to track your progress along the way.
That's great. And great points to take a hold of while we have Kevin today. And we appreciate all the things he has done for a lot of the doctors in the PI Doctors League community. And that's a recap. And many of the great podcasts he's doing, and also practice evaluations, practice assets, and valuable things. And he's got a course coming up in the future. So we're going to definitely promote that to our doctors community. Hey, Kevin, you got any more to add?
Yeah, I'll just touch on the online course a little bit, just real quick. We are just weeks away from launching an online course. It's called Wealth for Life. It's building your retirement income strategy. And I was thinking your retirement income is more than just a strategy, it's your lifeline. I actually posted that out on LinkedIn today. It's your lifeline because what you do now as you get close to retirement or if you're approaching retirement, will have significant impacts on what your life will look like moving forward. And if you get it wrong here at the front end, you're going to pay for it at somewhere down the line in the middle or even at the end. So what you do before you retire is so critical for you to take a look at what you need to do there. If you knew even now that you could take more income in retirement than you thought you could take, wouldn't you want to know that? Or if you were going to end up with a shortfall and not be quite as comfortable as you thought you would like to be, wouldn't you want to know that too? So this course will help you out using time frame to manage risk and manage your money based on the time frame in which you need it back, so that when you go into retirement, you'll have the confidence of knowing, here's where I'm going to pull my money from first, here's where I'm going to pull it from second and third. Because the accumulation phase that you're in right now, it looks way different than the income phase. And so you have to treat that completely different. So this online course is going to help you go through at your own pace, and then we'll give you downloadables and all of that to go with it. But it's a video-based course with 6 lessons that you can go through and apply your numbers to the situation. And at the end, if you want our guidance, we'll completely do it for you so that you can see what your life would look like on paper for the sustainability of the income that you'd like to get in retirement. And there's some really cool responses to this too, because people will say, man, I never knew this was possible. I never knew that I could actually write this down on a napkin while I'm sitting at a restaurant with my family or friends and explain to them why I'm doing what I'm doing and how it all works. The clarity that this will bring to you is just unbelievable. So I can't wait to launch it. So you can tell I'm a little excited about it.
No, we'll definitely get excited about this and get this out to our doctors. You talk about writing things on napkins. I don't know how many times I've done that.
That's it,
Write them down and you throw them in your car, and then all of a sudden you bring them all in and you put them on paper.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
All right, great stuff. And no doubt we'll, like the Academy Awards, we'll promote that, bringing it all the way up to when it becomes available, and we'll get it out to our doctors to definitely take that education with you one-on-one or with your team. So we appreciate that. So.
Yes, thank you.
All right, it's called Wealth for Life, right?
Yes, Wealth for Life, building your retirement income strategy.
So, all right, and lastly, even though you probably do or don't, we still have requests with all the big stuff with the financial world coming out. Do you have anything on the crypto world? The Bitcoins and the all the other things, your Ethereum or whatever they call it. I have no education in that, but I just wanted to see if you had any pointers on that. I know doctors are getting involved in that. Do you work with doctors with that, or just stay out of it, or?
We kind of stay away from that right now because it's loosely regulated right now. We're just waiting for regulatory tones. There are 4 or 5 different investments that we could address in that area, but it's not what you might think. It's using some ETFs and things like that. So as far as our firm jumping into that, we are not into that as much as we can be, or we're waiting for further regulation and compliance notices on that.
That means Kevin says his team, it keeps you safe anyway.
If there's a doctor that's listening that is actually doing Bitcoin and some of these Ethereum and crypto, you have a super high risk tolerance. So what's happening in the market today with tariffs shouldn't bother you one bit because that's some serious volatility.
Okay, well, thanks for your advice. I figured while I had you here, some people or some of the doctors asking me, and I said, I have no idea. These are not my ideas or things, but there's goods, there's bads, and everything.
Yeah,
So I
that's right.
figured
Yeah.
from a financial specialist, you might have a few pointers in being out there for so many years. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's add any more. If not, we'll get them back to their patient rounds here.
No, that's it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to hearing from a lot of you in our interactions. We'll give you a quick response and service. And thanks for letting me be part of this great group.
You bet. Thank you always, Kevin, for your advice and education that you give our doctors. And we'll have him floating around the community. You'll see him making comments. You can always ask him questions, contact him one-on-one. We'll leave his website and everything, information underneath this live endorsement when we process it through our doctors elite community. And he'll be back with you, and you can address things that you might need. All right, with that,
thank you,
Kevin, you stay safe up there, up east, and be careful. And thanks again for everything you've done. And we will see you down in the PI Doctors Elite community. So,
thank you, Dr. Tony.
All right, take care now. This session has now ended. We endorsed our great sponsor, Kevin Sullivan from the KD Sullivan Wealth Strategy. He'll be with us for a few months and years now. All right. Thank you, Kevin. Talk to you later.
Sir. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tony.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Session's now over. Dr. Tony, your administrator, founder. Hey, make it happen.
That's our podcast for today. And remember, if you're not working on your personal wealth, who is? Please share this podcast with your friends and colleagues, and make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Any questions about what you heard today, please send an email to kdsullivan@lpl.com. Physician Wealth Meds, wealth medicine for doctors.